beats all the last several years for the coldest low temperature each year. Coldest since 2019 that we've seen these air temperatures drop this far. Believe it or not, though, we're not even close to the record low temperature this morning of 23 below, set back in 1888.
With temperatures as low as they are today, frostbite can occur on exposed skin in as little as 10 to 15 minutes. That's why the city of Milwaukee has issued a formal health warning for today.
Those wind chills significantly increase the risk for frostbite and hypothermia. Frostbite symptoms include redness or pain, numbness, or waxy feeling skin. Signs of hypothermia include shivering, confusion, fumbling hands, slurred speech, and memory loss. The Marsha P. Coggs building is open as an emergency warming center from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Other warming centers in the Milwaukee area include Repairers of the Breach, Guest House, Capuchin Community Services at St. Ben's, Joy House, and Safe Harbor. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
In addition, due to the extreme and dangerous cold conditions today, the city of Milwaukee is delaying garbage and recycle collections with crews on standby until temperatures increase. We'll have your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up in about 5 minutes. Other stories we're following this morning: the appointment of President Trump's cabinet continuing today. Marco Rubio confirmed unanimously by the Senate to be the next Secretary of State. This as his boss has issued a slew of executive orders and actions on his first day in office, including a delay of the TikTok ban. Rubio on ABC's Good Morning America is in support of the law as a senator and says what Trump is doing now is not against the law.
The law was written in such a way so it would have kicked in the day before a new administration. So I think it's fair to assume that a new administration would need more than just a handful of hours coming into power to make a decision on how they want to handle it, on which deal they think would be the right one.
The law allowing for a delay in any TikTok ban if a deal was in the works that would sell the platform from its Chinese parent company ByteDance to an American one. World leaders swift to react to the second Trump administration.
I'm Vicki Barker at the Foreign Desk. We already know the Pope's position on the second Trump presidency. Asked on an Italian TV show Sunday night what he thought about Trump's plans for mass deportations of illegal migrants, the 88-year-old pontiff said it would be a disgrace if carried through. The Pope followed up Monday with an official telegram of congratulations, pointedly saying he prayed that America will live up to its ideals of being, quote, a land of opportunity and welcome for all. Vicki Barker, CBS News.
Staying overseas, Jewish settlers have rampaged several Palestinian villages overnight, torching homes and cars, with Palestinian health officials reporting over a dozen people injured. As violence intensifies in the West Bank, a tense quiet has settled over Gaza.
The Gaza ceasefire holding on day 3 with no violations by Israel nor Hamas. Gazans in the south returning to their homes, but most finding them in rubble. The majority of streets and buildings severely damaged in both Rafah and Khan Yunis. In Israel, the 3 released female hostages still in hospital undergoing medical tests. Doctors say they are in decent condition, considering they spent 471 days in captivity. Hamas set to release 4 more Israeli female hostages on Saturday. Jordana Miller, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Time now for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Green for the Dow on this first day of trading this week after the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday Monday. Dow up 237 points at 43,725. Meanwhile, the Nasdaq is off 7 points this morning at 19,624, and the S&P 500 up 24 points at 6,021. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather on the way next. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:04.
So how do you underpromise and still get the job? We believe in our hearts we're going to do great work for you. We're just really careful about making unrealistic promises. At Semper Fi, we refuse to set the bar higher than we can jump. But be assured, that's the goal. To do all we can to jump as high as possible to try to exceed your expectations. We're looking to break records. That's how you win over customers, get really great referrals, and build a great business. When you're making a decision to hire an exterior remodeling company, character, integrity, and the feeling that the people you're about to hire are truly eager to show you how good they are should stand at the top of your list. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here, asking you to join me in October as my wife and I explore the magical kingdoms of Southeast Asia, from the villages of Vietnam and the temples of Cambodia to the friendly locals of Laos and the beachside resort in stunning, lively Thailand. I hope you'll join us for this unforgettable journey. Ancient and mysterious worlds of rural landscapes, bustling cities, and fascinating history in Vietnam. Explore the Chu Chi tunnels used by the Viet Cong. Experience a street food adventure through Hanoi and cherish the serenity of Hai Long Bay on a beautiful boat ride. Bangkok in Thailand, the beaches in Thailand, history, tradition, food. If you'd like more information on this great trip, send me an email. john.mercure@wtmj.com. john.mercure@wtmj.com. It's Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. I'm super jazzed about this trip. Send me an email. I send you the info. john.mercure, MERCURE, @wtmj.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk.
It's Ohio State together at the mountaintop, champions of college football.
ESPN's Chris Fowler on the call. The Ohio State Buckeyes, champions of college football after defeating the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 34-23 in Atlanta on Monday night. From the college football ranks to the pros, the Chicago Bears have a new head coach from Detroit. The Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson to become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. On the hardwood, the Bucks off again tonight before heading to New Orleans for a Wednesday tilt in the Big Easy against the Pelicans. On the college hardwood, the Wisconsin women remain winless since December 20th after falling Monday to Nebraska 91-60. The men are in UCLA tonight to face the Bruins, one day after rising to number 18 in the AP Top 25 poll. Badger Sports Updates are sponsored by Siding Unlimited. It's siding and a whole lot more. Checking the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. So we have a number of broken down vehicles that remain across the freeway system this morning. No incidents or delays that are impacting your traffic, but it is something to be aware of. With the bitter cold we have this morning, your car will be taking a toll as it heads out onto the road. So make sure you have an emergency kit with you, even if you're just driving 5-10 minutes, quick in and out. Be prepared in case of the worst. We have right now a total of, I've counted, 7 broken down vehicles across the system. So it is an issue people are dealing with this morning. Speaking of your forecast, here it is, your WTMJ 5-day forecast. The WTMJ Fleet Farm Storm Team alert. Extreme cold warning continues for all of southeast Wisconsin until noon today. Could see wind chills anywhere from 30 to 35 below zero, but we will warm up to 3 above for our high today under sunny skies. Clouds will then increase tonight ahead of a warm front moving through. It will be warming up throughout the night as well. Our low will start around 0 and then go to about 6 above. Wind chills, though, still 10 to 20 below 0. Scattered snow possible Wednesday, a high of 24, up to an inch of accumulation. Slight cool down Thursday, mostly sunny 21, sun 23 on Friday. Flurries possible north of Milwaukee Saturday, and then back above freezing with a high of 35. Right now in Milwaukee, it's sunny and still 7 below 0. I'm Adam Roberts. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:09.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. The first full day of the second term of President Donald Trump. Who better to talk to on this first day than Christian Snyder, who joins us on the WTMJ hotline. Good morning, Christian Snyder.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. Apparently, you're calling us from your sick bed, which I appreciate your loyalty to the show. How you feeling?
I'm doing fine. I have COVID. Actually, yesterday during the inauguration, I fell asleep, and then when I woke up,
wow.
Donald Trump was president. So I'm like, wow, COVID's a lot stronger than I thought it was.
Have you had COVID before?
Yeah, I actually didn't get it for like 3 years after it broke out, after it dropped. But then, so it was late 22, I got it, and but haven't had it since then. No.
Yeah. So all those folks who don't think COVID's real, you can at least go by Christian's testimony is a real thing.
I can assure you it is.
All right. So you woke up and you realized at some point that Donald Trump was the president again. Your thoughts from Inauguration Day, really anywhere you want to take it. I have my thoughts. I'll certainly respond to yours.
Well, I mean, everybody was watching kind of the pomp and circumstance and thinking, wow, what a, at least now we have an orderly transfer of power. But for me, it was just kind of a sad day and kind of a shameful day just because of who we elected. And it actually started with we can't let the old guy off the hook, Joe Biden, with, all of his pardons that he did, pardoning family members and all that stuff. And he hasn't had a great last couple of days, especially by just waving his hand and saying the 28th Amendment to the Constitution, the Equal Rights Amendment, is now part of the Constitution. It's just been really embarrassing for him, and I think he's letting people know why he didn't they didn't reelect him, or he had to drop out. So it was sad from that respect. But then, Joe Biden is the reason that we got Donald Trump, because he wouldn't drop out of the race soon enough. We get Trump, and the speech was fine. It was like a half hour. He dropped in some weird stuff about changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Okay, whatever. But then he goes to kind of the backup room where the backup crowd was, and he starts going in on the January 6th hostages, and he starts relitigating the election about throwing out election results, how he thinks he actually won California, which is completely nuts. And I was just thinking, are we really going to do 4 more years of this? Is this really what we need to do? But it's I guess it's what we want. So
I think
we're going to get.
We look at the story. I look at the story, and I'm not, just like you, I'm not a Trump supporter. I think that this is one of those moments where everyone needs to start thinking a little more clearly here. And, I'll use the example of one of the executive orders basically is about the weaponization of the federal government. And in the text of the actual order, he's essentially saying to his Department of Justice, I want you to weaponize your department and go after the people who, and he was very specific, only in the last 4 years leading up to his administration, see what they were doing that was illegal, essentially weaponizing the federal government when that's the name of the order. And this is sort of the silliness now of what I think a lot of us are expecting to happen in the next 4 years.
Right. He's got another executive order that's just some vague thing about we're standing up for free speech, when he's actually in court right now trying to sue an Iowa reporter for a poll that they put out that ended up being inaccurate. So he's going after people that take part in speech that he doesn't like, and yet he's signing these executive orders. It's completely nuts. And I don't know if you want to talk about some of these executive orders, but
we're going to get to that next. I'm going to give you a chance to catch your breath. I know it's not easy to have to go on the radio and talk when it's hard to even speak. Christian Snyder, our guest, you can find his great work, National Review Online, and a lot of other places. He's a great writer, great conservative, and I'm going to continue that conversation after this on 620 WTMJ.
Get inside the mind of Mark Tauscher.
I remember I never spoke in front of a podium until the NFC Championship game.
See the world from his perspective.
With all due respect, why were you asked to go to the podium?
To be podium guy.
On Wisconsin's Morning News, every day at 7:50.
What do you mean with all due respect?
I didn't want it to come off like I was being rude. I'm just curious.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. It comes off incredibly rude. Hey, Tausch, you suck. What are you doing up at the podium? Well, thanks, Bill.
Presented by Hello Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and Kohler Services.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Advent. I love talking about Advent. You know this because it changed my life and it could change yours. I was snoring, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep. Sound familiar? Well, do yourself and your bed partner a big favor by going to Advent. 30-minute visit, that's all they need. They can answer your questions. They can put you at ease like they did with me. They can add in a simple sleep study at home in your own bed. And they can find out what your problem is. For me, it was sinuses and nasal passages, which is a very common problem, by the way. After a short procedure done in one of their great offices, back to breathing better than ever. Here's the big thing. My wife, Kathy, and I both sleeping through the whole night. Solid nights of sleep. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com and schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Ready for a win? Well, it's your year. At Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, you could win over $2,000 in free play every month all year long. Just play your favorite games and you might take the stage in the It's Your Year game show. 25 winners each Thursday. There's $300,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs this January. Yeah, we think it's your year. More info at paysbig.com. Must be 21 years old to play.
Continuing my conversation with writer, smart guy, and sick guy, Christian Snyder on the WTMJ hotline. We were talking about pardons, presidential pardons. Some of the really interesting details here is some of these pardons on both sides. You talked about the amendment one with Biden on his way out. Trump basically saying that the Constitution doesn't guarantee birthright citizenship. If we allow a president with executive actions and orders to essentially rewrite the Constitution, Christian, we are in deep you-know-what.
Yeah, that one's completely nuts, and it's, you may find one or two constitutional scholars that will say that it's actually not in the Constitution. It very clearly is. But it even goes further than people think. It would actually affect people who are born to immigrants who are here legally. Like if they're here on a visa or some other plan, and they're here legally, and they're born in America, then suddenly they wouldn't get birthright citizenship too. So it's totally nuts. And you're right. For the people that want to criticize Biden for his rhetorically saying the 28th Amendment is now alive, Trump's actually doing the same thing.
Yeah. I think that the risk here is, and maybe it's been unleashed by a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, we have certainly created this environment where the president is more like a dictator than a duly elected representative of the people. I think that's my fear, regardless if it's Trump or anyone else doing it. I'm not a fan of what Biden did either. I think that was disgraceful at the end.
Yeah, and this dictator stuff is evident in the executive order he did on TikTok, which is basically he's just going to tell his DOJ not to enforce the ban on TikTok that's supposed to go into effect. Was it today or yesterday? And so we had this whole process where Congress passes a law banning TikTok unless they sell, the parent company sells it. It goes through the whole process. Supreme Court upholds it 9-0, and then Trump just waves it away not because TikTok is doing anything different. The problems it has collecting Americans' data, the security concerns people have about China are all still there. But now Trump wants to reverse that because he knows it would be good for him politically, where the kids would say Donald Trump is the one that saved TikTok. So it's still just as much a security concern as it was before, but now he's just going to, sign an executive order and waive all the actions of the past year away. It's just, it's a bit much.
What do you think will happen with TikTok 75 days from now? What should happen?
I think TikTok is calling our bluff. I don't think they're going to sell to an American company, and I think it's probably going to go dark at some point. Mike Gallagher, the former congressman, has a great point. He says TikTok could have sold to an American company, but they don't care about the money. They care about the data. They care about the algorithm. And so it's more important for them to have that than it is to sell. So that kind of shows what they're really in this for.
You are very active on social media. I'm sort of active. I've sort of pulled back a bit because it's just a cesspool in many places, especially Twitter or now called X. I guess I wondered, Chinese ownership, set that aside, just its impact on our culture and especially our young people. In a bigger sense, I mean, is there any real impetus to change these things so we're not polluting the minds of everybody who sort of plays in these arenas of social media?
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of studies out there showing that it reduces young people's attention spans, and I check TikTok every now and then. I get a lot of great recipes off of it. And I feel it probably diminishes my attention span as well. But, schools can do a lot by banning the use of cameras and phones in schools. There are a lot of things that can be done, but eventually there's always going to be a new thing. I mean, everybody's out there trying to make a buck, and, maybe TikTok goes away, but then something else is going to come up. I mean, there are already other Chinese apps out there that people are moving to. So, it's whack-a-mole. You take one down and 4 more pop up.
Yeah, when you look at the impact of the sort of the relaxing of the rules on Twitter or now X or soon to be Facebook, I think you're going to end up with a product that is going to scare a lot of parents, certainly, and maybe it should scare some of us adults because I've jumped on. I still have access to Twitter, and frankly, it's horrifying. And people have said to me, "Have you seen what's on there?" And it's about as blatantly obscene as you can get, and I don't know that that's necessarily a recipe for making our country healthier. That's my concern.
Yeah, but Donald Trump thinks it makes him more popular, so he's ready to go with it at least for 75 more days or whatever it is.
Hey, real quick, because I know the big pardons yesterday. I think it was 1,500 or something like that. Trump pardoned most, if not all, of the January 6th convictions and those individuals. I got about 45 seconds left. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's appalling. He stands up there and he wants to imprison the people that investigated January 6th, like Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson and these people, and yet he wants to free the people that actually took part in it, which is, he's the judge in his own trial here. He's actually, by letting these people free, it makes him look innocent. So, it's not the way that things are supposed to work.
Christian Snyder, I hope you feel better soon. Thanks for jumping on the line. I know it was not easy to do that, but you did great.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Feel better.
You can fall asleep.
Yeah. Christian Snyder, go back to bed. He's a great writer. All right, we're going to take a break here. After the break, we'll go local. Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee, after this.
The Upswing is your place for commerce and community.
We are joined on the phone by former Milwaukee Brewers Vice President Laurel Prabe.
Hosted by Jeff Sherman.
Bud made known to Bob that in no uncertain terms that he wasn't going anywhere. He called George and he said, you don't want me to tell you what I said to George that day.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
Oh, I appreciated my Heiser vehicle this morning. It was chilly out there, folks. I'm not breaking any news here, but I have a 2023 Chevy Silverado courtesy of Heiser Automotive, and it is amazing. Not just the way it runs, it performs, and all the technology, and the heated steering wheel and the heated seats. Oh, love all that stuff. Remote start, needed it today. It's an amazing color, too, glacier blue metallic. You can buy it right out from underneath me if you go to Heiser.com. Just look up 2023 Chevy Silverado, 1500 LT, low mileage. It is an amazing truck, which you will appreciate, trust me. What else is Heiser doing? They do everything, whether it's the ease of scheduling appointments online at Heiser.com. Service, body shop, whatever you need, you can do that online and at your click of a mouse. Here's what else is cool. Vehicle exchange program. Don't love it? Exchange it. How about this? Roadside assistance for life. Always feel safe. They have the Safe and Sound program as well. That's why they say every day, today's your day.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak & Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak & Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
I'm Dr. Jasmine Zapata, Chief Medical Officer for Community Health at the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. Every year in the U.S., about 21,000 lung cancer deaths are caused by radon, an odorless, tasteless, and colorless gas. 1 in 10 Wisconsin homes has high levels of radon. Does yours? Call 1-888-LOW-RADON or visit lowradon.org to learn more. Test, fix, save a life.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. So I was looking at some of the bushes that have overgrown on my property, and I love our yard, but I need dormant pruning. That's what takes place during the winter when it's safe to cut back things so you have healthier trees and bushes around your house. Check right now to see if you've got stuff scraping against the siding or needs to be cut back, and schedule it now. Design Build landscaping projects are a year-round topic. Landworks Wisconsin does it the right way every time. They help people achieve their outdoor dreams by creating beautiful landscapes. I love these guys. LandworksWisconsin.com. Check them out today.
And he joins me every Tuesday. I've got a couple of segments with Jeremy Janine, founder, content creator. What other titles you have at urbanmilwaukee.com?
Janitor, accountant.
No, you do everything. It's good. All right, let's have some fun before the bottom of the hour news for your kids. That's 9:30. All right, the boat that's certainly like captured everybody's attention. It's like capsized, sort of, on the shores of Milwaukee. Where is this thing? Why are we still talking about this?
If you're looking on a map, it is just south of Moosa's, just north of McKinley Marina, and just east of the Villa Terrace, which is 50 feet up the bluff. But you sometimes can see it from Lincoln Memorial Drive. It is a boat. It's been wedged there right on the rocky, sandy shoreline since early October. So we're now well over 100 days that it's been there. There's been some attempts to remove it. But the boat's become a bit of a landmark. It's got a Google Maps marker. It's got nearly 100 reviews. People are having fun. Also, since there's now ice out to it, people are really graffitiing the boat.
All right, two things. One, if someone clearly wanted to move it, they could easily move it. You have to have the right equipment, but everything is movable, including a small boat.
This boat is 33 feet long, just to give people a perspective. So it's not that
It's not a
small.
Lake Michigan boat, though, like the big ones. We're talking about a
that's not an ocean going
cabin cruisers, something like that.
It is, that's correct. The belief, Jerry Geyer, who runs Jerry's Dock, has been out there trying to salvage this boat. The Coast Guard kind of called him up and said, "Hey, come get this abandoned boat for us." And he said, "Okay." He's now $18,000 into it, he claims, in terms of his labor costs.
And the owner can't pay for this, right?
That's what they say.
Who has a boat like that and can't pay for it? That's crazy.
We'll get to what I think is the craziest thing in a moment.
All right.
But
suspense.
The propeller is wedged, Jerry believes, under 2 or 3 feet of sand. So he thinks he's going to have special equipment come out there in the spring to dislodge it.
Oh, my goodness. All right, what's the
craziest thing is, so this couple, they're in their 60s. They're from Mississippi. Their vision was, this is basically our retirement boat. We're going to buy it in Manitowoc, used boat, 40 years old, and we'll take it down through the Great Lakes. We'll go through into the Mississippi River via Chicago. They didn't have insurance. This boat is out there uninsured, and it just what an idea.
Why do I think this is going to be a common situation going forward? People don't have insurance, whether it's California wildfires, Florida hurricanes, or in the case of Milwaukee, a crazy boat lying on the shore of a Great Lake. All right, you're going to stick around. We're going to do a lot more after the news. Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee. You know, it's funny because I'm thinking about this, and Jeremy's is gonna stick around after the news because there's a lot more to talk about. It is it's one of those things that people fall in love with these stories. So it's sort of have this sort of funny, cool Milwaukee-ese sort of appeal to it now. But at the end of the day, it's a dumb boat that's just sitting on the shore of Lake Michigan. And I made the point earlier that somebody could come out there and drag that thing away if they wanted to. If you have the right equipment, you can move anything. Heck, in Oak Creek, we moved one of those diggers, excavators that some kids had driven off the cliff. And originally the plan was to drag it up the cliff. That didn't work, although I learned a lot about excavators and retrieval. They brought a barge, eventually drove it onto the barge and floated it away. Everything is possible if you actually want to do it. But now it sort of has this pop culture status. And now we're going to talk about it endlessly. So it's one of those cool Milwaukee stories that we love to talk about. Hey, it's chilly out there. We know that. But don't let the cold get you down. It's going to warm up eventually. So don't freak out about the weather. I know it's cold. And I said it in my Heiser read there. It's one of those days where you appreciate the technology, especially the remote start. I love that. And here's the crazy thing. In Louisiana, apparently, there's a blizzard warning. Am I hearing this right? How is that possible? It makes zero sense. It's a crazy mixed up world, and maybe that's perfect weather relationship to what's coming in the Trump administration. See what I did there? I tied it all to politics because the show is, there we go, Vince Lombardi. All right, we got local news with the great Adam Roberts. Before we get to any of that, here's the latest now from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. President Trump's first cabinet member was sworn in this morning. Secretary of State Marco Rubio took the oath, and he was asked on ABC's Good Morning America about how the U.S. can help bring an end to the war between Russia and Ukraine, a campaign promise from the president.
The only way to solve these things, we got to get back to pragmatism, but we also got to get back to seriousness here, and that is the hard work of diplomacy. The U.S. has a role to play here. We've been supportive of Ukraine, but this conflict has to end.
The secretary said he's not commenting on domestic political issues when asked about President Trump's decision to pardon all those convicted in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot. He said some of those people had their lives destroyed. Mexico's president responding to President Trump's threatened tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, saying the countries have to relate as equals, not subordinates. Bitter cold racking tens of millions around the country as snow falls in parts of the South. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:31. I'm Adam Roberts. We remain in a WTMJ Fleet Farm storm team alert this morning, an extreme cold warning continuing until noon today for all of southeast Wisconsin. Wind chills approaching 30 below zero for much of the area, and frostbite can occur in as little as 10 minutes on exposed skin. We'll have your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up in about 3 minutes. A man is dead after a shooting in the town of Geneva early Monday morning near Lincoln Avenue and Lakeshore Drive. 52-year-old Stephen Merkel Jr. of Lake Geneva in custody, charged with first-degree reckless homicide. And new life could soon be coming to Whitefish Bay's Fox Bay Cinema. Milwaukee Business Journal reporting a $7.5 million project will be done under the name of the Argo for the space, which has been vacant since the COVID-19 pandemic began. Plans for the new venue and entertainment hall include a venue with a restaurant and bar, and would also provide $1 from every ticket sold to local arts and wellness programs. Time now for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. 300 points in the green for the Dow this morning at 43,788, while the Nasdaq is up 25 points at 19,656, and the S&P 500 sitting 28 points positive at 6,024. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Going over the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Point of emphasis today, have an emergency kit in your vehicle. We have a number of broken down vehicles still across the system here. Looking at right now, 9 of them anywhere in and around Milwaukee County. And if that happens, you'll want to make sure you have ways to stay warm, ways to have food or water if you are out on the roads in the bitter cold. No accidents or crashes, however, right now, and full freeway speeds this morning. In your WTMJ forecast, again, a Fleet Farm storm team alert this morning. Extreme cold warning until noon today. Wind chills between 30 and 35 below for portions of southeast Wisconsin. The sun will be out today with a high of 3 above. Clouds will increase then tonight ahead of a warm front with a warm-up, though slight, up to 6 above for the low. Scattered snow possible on Wednesday, up to an inch of accumulation, a bit warmer, a high of 24. Sun Thursday and Friday, low 20s for highs. We get above freezing on Saturday with a chance for flurries and a high of 35. Right now in downtown Milwaukee, it is sunny out with a temperature of 6 below zero. I'm Adam Roberts. Outdoor Living Unlimited WTMJ News Time is 9:34.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
Well, all right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitschke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
If you're living with joint pain in your shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees, and you have Medicare or Medicaid insurance, coming to Rejuvenex to solve your pain problems is something you should strongly consider. First off, because our FDA-approved pain treatments have been shown in many cases to be highly effective at reducing inflammation and substantially alleviating pain. Secondly, Medicare and Medicaid cover Rejuvenex treatments, so your cost could be nothing, or next to nothing at all. Chronic pain will only worsen with age. This leads to a far more compromised lifestyle, depression, and soon they start talking surgery. And then what? You have to get in front of arthritis and chronic pain, because the sooner you do, by letting us begin to calm those pain points, the better. I'm Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas, and we can alleviate your pain so you can rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
And continuing our conversation with Jeremy Janine, urbanmilwaukee.com is where he writes and does everything else under the sun. All right, so let's get to some politics. This is a huge one, and I love this story. Again, fully admit I'm a big fan of SROs. I worked closely with them when I was a mayor in Oak Creek, and I know that the relationship Oak Creek had with their SROs was school district paid half, city chipped in the other half, not chipped in, paid the other half. In Milwaukee, it's law that the Milwaukee School District has to have SROs, has been that way since last year. Jeremy Janine, what's the latest on this story?
So the latest, SROs, school resource officers.
Yeah.
These are MPD officers stationed inside of schools to be proactive, develop community relationships. The latest is there's now a big fight about how to pay for it. The mayor, Cavalier Johnson, wants to go back to how it was pre-2020 when MPS ended the contract, and that was what he calls the 5/6 agreement. And if you think about the school year, it doesn't cover the entire calendar year. So the city paid the tab for the 3 months of the year the officers weren't in session, or the schools weren't in session, the officers still were employed. And now the MPS seems unwilling to go back to that. They didn't even give me a statement for my article I wrote about it. They've given other statements that are basically reiterated versions of the same thing. We're waiting on resources. For a while, there was the perspective that, okay, MPD maybe just doesn't have the officers. Well, now MPD's been through several recruiting classes. Police Chief Jeffrey Norman's made it very clear, hey, you ask us to jump, we'll jump. But there's been no agreement on how to pay for this yet.
In your mind as a reporter, what breaks the sort of stalemate here?
I think the legislature is going to have to come in and just drop the hammer, or at least threaten to drop the hammer.
What does that mean exactly? Because people are out there going, they already dropped the hammer. They said they had to have them.
With no penalties. So that the agreement that gave Milwaukee a sales tax, Milwaukee County another sales tax, funded local governments across state, said January 1st, 2024, MPS, return your SROs. Had all kinds of other policy things, but it had no teeth in it in terms of clawing it back. And
MPS has faced massive budget challenges. We all know the story of MPS in the last year, and it's a story that unfortunately has repeated itself over time. There's big questions about safety and security in any public place, right? Whether that's a governmental building, a courtroom, a school, a library, anywhere. But when it's something is as clear as this, does MPS? I don't want to use the term save face because I don't think they have any face to save anymore. They've been beaten down by poor leadership and poor management of public dollars. Is there any saving grace here that can say somebody steps in, maybe with legislature, governor, who's been critical of MPS as well, mayor, I don't know, somebody that's leading MPS that hasn't been appointed yet. Someone can say, look, this is the solution. Let's go.
There's one legal avenue I think the city could pursue, and that is the nuisance designation. If they really wanted to force MPS's hand, I think I'd call it the nuclear option. The city, if you're a gas station, a bar, and you continually call for police services, the city can label you a nuisance and start to bill you for those services. MPS continues to have police officers come to their buildings for incidents. They're just not there proactively, which is what the legislation requires, what they historically were. The one thing I really learned in writing this article that I didn't know, when Act 12 was passed, the sales tax bill in 2023, MPS didn't get any money directly, but MPS administrative employees are part of the city's pension system. There's about $5 million in 2025 that MPS is receiving a benefit from the city sales tax that's funding their pension system. So MPS is actually getting something out of that sales tax, and I don't think it's unreasonable for Cavalier Johnson to say, hey, you're on the clock now to pay.
Do you think, I'll throw out a couple scenarios, is it one person at MPS, whoever's still around, or is it the entire institution at the district level that is saying, we're not doing this? What do you think that is? Or is it a number of people? What is it?
I don't have great insight into the nuances within MPS, but I think the real challenge is there is no head of MPS right now. Eduardo Galvan is the acting superintendent.
Well, there's a board. That's why I brought it up.
There's a board. They're about to turn over. We'll be talking about how there's many open seats that only drew a single candidate, but that's about to turn over again. So I really wonder who's running the ship some days on certain policy issues.
Much like the budget concerns of MPS that were handled by someone who stepped in, we may see a leadership sort of pseudo board perhaps come in and sort of right the ship, to use a term relating back to our last topic.
Yes, lots of nautical references lately.
Could we see a pseudo board step in and sort of right the ship here?
I think we could see the state legislature really turn the screws on MPS and make changes happen. We're still waiting. We know MPS has now submitted its financial records. We know former city comptroller Aicha Sawa is now the CFO at MPS, but we don't really know what's all in that. And if there's more bad news coming out of that, if there's more bad news that continues to come out in other areas, I would be shocked if the legislature does not step in.
Someone told me this. I'm not going to say who it was because I told them I would not out them. One of the ideas is if the legislature has to implement penalties, don't be surprised if with that implementation, it's like we said 20-something, 50. Just as a sort of a punitive, you know what, you're going to listen to us. That would not shock me here. And I have no insight now as that's going to happen. That's what one person said.
Yeah, it would not shock me if more policy got thrown into any bill that had penalties. The legislature has had a history of inserting policy. They're a policy-making body. It's reasonable for them to make policy. At the local level, questions about when they should be doing it.
Real quick, because I want to kind of look ahead to next week. There's going to be a lot of concerns about the implementation of the executive action when it comes to immigration border policy. I know you're looking at some of this stuff. Let's look next week and see if we can sort of figure out where that went in the 7 days roughly since these executive actions took effect.
Yeah, I think there's going to be lots of moving pieces here we're seeing now that Trump has been inaugurated.
Jeremy Janine, urbanmilwaukee.com. Always a great resource for local news and more. Thanks for taking the time.
Happy to be here.
By now, you've probably figured out what's most important to us at Semper Fi is our reputation. Building a great character-driven remodeling company is actually quite easy. It's just the first 20 years that are a bit challenging. Great companies are collections of great people, and we have great people. They're the ones that helped us build our reputation, but they only come after you've built something they want to be part of. We don't necessarily have to look for good people. They come to us. And that's what you want when you hire an exterior remodeling company. Someone who's going to stand behind their work, and a company that is truly proud of their people. And it's because they do great work. And when you're ready, we'll do great work for you too. This is Brad Youngluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
David Nason here, your trusted Fix-It Show guy, here to give you some essential home maintenance advice. If you're dealing with leaks, stains, cracks in your basement, it's time to call the experts I trust at Accurate Basement Repair. They've fixed many of our listeners' basements, and the results were fantastic. Dry, secure, and peace of mind restored. Don't let basement issues mess up your home. Trust Accurate Basement Repair to get the job done right. Call them today.
Thanks, David. Accurate Basement Repair. We're not just good, we're accurate.
Hey, business owners, are you looking to sell your business? I'm sure you have plenty of questions. WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me for our latest Annex Wealth Management webinar. I'll be joined by Brandon Lehman and Brian Lamborn from Annex Wealth Management as we answer your questions. Who should you consult? And of course, when is the best time for you to sell your business? Sign up for this free webinar on Wednesday, January 29th. Text WEB to 855-616-1620 to sign up for the free webinar, only here on WTMJ.
At Gruber Law Offices, our biggest priority is the care and service we provide to our clients. We know accidents can be overwhelming, and we're here to help every step of the way. Call now. One call, that's all.
Labor shortages, retention problems, it's been a challenging time for my business. But in Wisconsin, there's 600,000 people with disabilities who are ready to work right now. They just need you to believe in them and say yes. I did.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here for Vita Hearing Care. My life is better. My wife's life is better because of Vita Hearing Care. I have hearing aids from Vita. The testing process was easy. It's affordable. They're a local family-owned company, Vita Hearing Care, 2 locations in Mount Pleasant and Waterford. I've got my hearing aids in right now. It's made my life a better life. Cognitive decline can happen if you can't hear right. It's a real thing. Visit VitaHearingCare.com to learn more. That's Vita, V-I-T-A, hearingcare.com. The real deal at Vita.
Always enjoy my conversations with my pal and teammate Christian Bryken here in the afternoon, spanning the state with Brian Noonan, 1 to 3 right here on 620 WTMJ. And everywhere else because we stream, we're on YouTube, all that stuff. Christian Bry, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Is that a question mark or is that a comment?
Well, the day is young.
So I always like to get your instant reaction to things, and we didn't have a ton of time to talk. If you don't know the behind the scenes, Christian and I talk a lot at work.
And off work.
And off work.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your take, and this is much discussed, Elon Musk's gestures.
Twice.
I've seen everything, and I watched it live, so I mean, I saw it happen. And I thought what I thought, which it looked like a Nazi salute, and some people, it was some sort of Roman salute. And I made this post last night.
Which is also still a fascist hand gesture, but okay.
The Roman thing is interesting because knowing a lot about Roman history, because I'm Sicilian and I spent a lot of time watching and reading about that culture.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
A lot. Trust me.
Do you know that was an entire trend on
Yes.
last
Oh, yes,
year?
yes.
So
Which I was
you're
fascinated
one of the men who thinks about the Roman Empire a lot.
I admit I fall into that trend.
Unapologetically.
Because I'm fascinated by it. And it's not just the rise of the Roman Empire, it's the decline, which is also fascinating to me. But I made this comment on Threads last night. Whatever you think about Elon Musk is not the guy that anybody would salute to. He's the guy that the Roman legions would kill first. That's the guy, that weird, creepy dude who's out front. They're going to take his head off or Lance's. He's the guy that goes first. This guy is the biggest weirdo. I got in trouble for saying this. I'm going to say it again. He's an idiot savant.
In trouble by whom?
Trust me, I got in trouble.
Okay.
Let's not explore that anymore. But he's an idiot savant. I
don't know if he's an idiot savant. I do. I mean, because that was like I do think he's a huge troll.
Yes.
And that was why I decided not to. That took over. It felt like social media yesterday, as far as a lot of people reacting to if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And then a lot of people say no. But to me, he is such a big troll that. To do it on purpose, to know that it's going to get a reaction, to know it's going to get people fired up and have them focus on that versus analyzing the executive orders or analyzing any of the other stuff that's going on. And so I think that is the biggest thing coming into this is there's just going to be the floodgates are open of noise, of distractions, and trying to sift through what we as people in the media, what other journalists, what advocates need to be focused on versus getting distracted by things that are bad, but also probably focus more on the things that actually have policy implications.
Do you think President Donald Trump, we'll give him his due, is actively using Elon Musk as a sort of a paid disruptor, sort of, as you said, shift the attention away from what's really happening? I don't know if he thinks that way, to be honest.
No, I think there's utility there. I mean, listen, I was recently talking to someone who worked at SpaceX, and I asked him something along the lines of like, is this the same person that you worked for when you worked there? And he goes, my 2 rules with Elon Musk is you never bet against him and you never go up against him. And so I think that there is more power there than him just being kind of the jester in the crowd to distract everyone.
Here's where it gets really serious and concerning from my perspective. He will probably be in a couple of years the first trillionaire we've ever had on this planet. Billionaire used to be a thing. Trillionaire, you have immense control, as we've now seen, because he's basically got a seat at the White House at the table. And I don't necessarily want anyone like Elon Musk having anywhere close to that kind of access. And that's what I worry about.
I mean, that was the front row yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Just the amount of money and power. And not only, and I say power as far as people who control how we communicate. And that's what my column that came out this morning is just we should be concerned as far as all of the channels that we've created, not what we, but that have been created that we utilize to amplify messages, to be entertaining, to really connect with people now. Is they were all in the front row, and that's never happened before as far as sitting in front of the cabinet members in an inauguration.
That was a little interesting, yeah. A lot interesting. Kristen Bry, we're going to have her stick around for one more segment. You're listening, of course, Political Power Hour Tuesday. Stay warm, everybody. We'll fire it up to the top of the hour. Local news and, of course, Jeff Sherman's Upswing coming up after that. More after this.
When we're out in your town, come say hi to us as we broadcast live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
Anytime you hear us when we're out on the road, you can find us live from our brand new mobile studio.
Whether it be Summerfest, EAA, Opening Day, Air and Water Show,
wherever we may be, you can see us on the radio, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
WTMJ.
Hey, it's Kristen Bry, and you should tune in to Spanning the State this week from 1 to 3 p.m. for your chance to win 2 tickets to experience the legendary music of Pink Floyd live in concert with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. This unforgettable show is happening at the Riverside Theater on February 7th. Tickets are on sale now at papstheatergroup.com. You don't want to miss Pink Floyd's legendary music like you've never heard it before, with a full rock band and orchestra. Be sure to tune in to Spanning the State this week for your chance to win.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. My reverse osmosis system in my house is fantastic. The water I drink, the water we feed the dogs, the water we cook with is crisp, clean, and clear thanks to Guthrie and Fry's RO system. It's the best in the business. It's affordable, it's effective, and you'll feel a lot better. It's all about the science. They know at Guthrie and Fry that better water makes a big difference. Southeast Wisconsin's #1 choice and my choice is Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
We've seen that sleep apnea bully stop breathing more than 100 times an hour. But this problem is solvable, and Advent has simple solutions that have been proven to be extremely effective.
Winning in the NFL comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. In retirement, protection and income are the keys to success. Simply put, if you're nearing or in retirement, you can't afford a stock market crash. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons. Having played on winning teams with the Steelers and Falcons, studying game film was a key to success. Now I'm a best-selling author and star in a new groundbreaking documentary film called The Retirement Deception. It unveils how the Wall Street machine has been deceiving us for decades and proves you don't need to risk your nest egg in the market to have the retirement you deserve. This film shows you exactly how to protect your retirement from stock market drops and produce more income than you thought possible. I want you to watch this film for free. Call today for your free copy of The Retirement Deception. I think you would agree 30 to 40 years of saving for retirement is at least worth a phone call to watch this film and see how you can improve your retirement. Call today to speak with an all-pro retirement specialist to get your free copy of The Retirement Deception. Call 844-763-2837. That's 844-763-2837. MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. Have you been to the Hounds and Tap yet? In Menominee Falls, this state-of-the-art facility and the ultimate hangout for hounds and humans. Grab a drink at the indoor-outdoor tavern, let your dogs hang out. You can even book professional grooming services, from pedicures to full spa treatments. Every day is a play day at the Hounds and Tap. Hang out with your dog and others, or drop your dog off for doggy daycare or doggy boarding services. Check out thehoundsandtap.com. That's thehoundsandtap.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
A few minutes left on the Tuesday program. Christian Bry from Spanning the State, 1 to 3 right here on 620 WTMJ along with Brian Noonan. You and I launched our new podcast last week. It's called Need to Listen.
We got, our podcast kind of got preempted by the passing of Bob Uecker. And so we are still promoting it now. But if you text LISTEN to 855-616-1620, the Study Unlimited talk and text line, we will send you a link to our first episode that dropped last Thursday.
And I listened to it back. I love the energy and love the way you had to corral me, because I like to go on deviant paths.
You do.
sometimes. Yeah.
Like, I'm the one with ADHD, and yet in our conversations, like, all right, come back, Steve. You're talking about something entirely different right now.
And I appreciate the corralling. So we are going to we're going to already tell people what we're going to talk about. TikTok is sort of the subject matter, social media a little bit as well. We both have really strong opinions on it. you like to focus on the fact that I like to make fun of people doing dancing videos. That's a very small part. It's just a flashy part of my argument.
Well,
there's so much more to that story.
It is more. I mean, I think that's the thing when you talk about something like TikTok, there is many different facets as far as a bigger conversation around social media and our addiction to it. There is a conversation around national security, but then there's also politicians who voted for the ban who were on TikTok. So if it's really that scary, why are you on there?
The new president has flip-flopped on the
there. There is a lot to talk about now as far as the thanking of President Trump before he was even president for turning the app back on. Like, there is a lot of layers here. And I know your big thing, the actual crux of it is you're skeptical as far as what this is doing to society.
Yeah, that is my big concern. That's the point I'm going to make in the podcast.
And that's totally fine. I would say, well, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it so people have to listen to the podcast.
I think they call that a tease in the radio business. I'm just fascinated by social media. I publicly said I've kind of withdrawn from Twitter. I still look at it occasionally. I don't post. But I think these are valuable and the right tools. But I had a friend who said to me, my kids ran downstairs so they couldn't get on TikTok. TikTok was gone. And my response was, I think I shared this with you, find something else to do. Like, if you tell me your kids are like going to die without TikTok, I think I'm going to make the statement, you're a bad parent. Like, what are you doing? That's not
How old are the kids?
Teenagers. Yeah. Which at least are teenagers, because there's some kids younger that get access.
And
That's
I'm kind of going through that right now, and that's what I write about a little bit in my column for Journal Sentinel today, is like this between what we were talking about before as far as Zuckerberg and shows G Chu and Elon and stuff, and it's all these channels being, bending the knee, if you want to say, to Donald Trump, of trying to rethink where I put my energy as far as content and how much time I'm spending on those apps versus maybe picking up a book.
Which I have done a lot more of, and I highly recommend it. Listen, LISTEN, on the WTMJ Talking Text line, 855-616. Make that the Siding Unlimited WTMJ Talking Text line. Never want to forget Siding Unlimited. LISTEN, and you can hear our first episode, and the next one will be live next week. Kristen Bry will listen this afternoon, spanning the state 1 to 3. Thanks for coming in.
Always.
All right, news is next, right here on 620 WTMJ.
Hey, it's 620 WTMJ's Kristen Bry, and if you're looking for a new dentist, you should check out Dr. James Michaels at Conowalk Dental Care. Dr. Michaels is committed to providing you with the highest level of care possible. He has prioritized patients' needs